Today, we're looking at how you can reboot your money by resetting your goals. Welcome to the Couple Money Podcast, where we talk about how spouses can get on the same page, pay down their debt faster, and get on the path to financial freedom. I'm your host, Elle Martinez. Today's episode is brought to you by the free course 5 Days to 5K. Many couples I talk to know what they should be doing, right? Pay down that debt, save money for emergencies or whatever goal they have. The tricky part, though, is where do you find the money for those goals? 5 Days to 5K is a free email-based course that helps you find, save, and earn extra money on the side so you can reach your goals faster. If you're interested, you can sign up at couplemoney.com/5K. When we started this mini-series last week about rebooting your money, I talked about how hitting those goals sometimes means having to change things up. Karen Cordaway went over how we could reframe things around the quality of our lives using a bucket list. For example, it's not about paying off debt. It's about having money to travel more. You're not saving money in the bank. You're giving yourself a down payment to buy a house. It's a small shift, but it can be a powerful way to motivate yourself. And there's another side to this puzzle, creating the goals themselves. Since most people don't achieve the big results they hope for, we've got to ask ourselves, is there a way to make goals work for you so that you do achieve them? I think so. I believe there's a way to hit those ambitious goals without burning out. And I think Joseph Hogue is the perfect person to break it down. Since I met Joseph at a conference a few years ago, I've seen how well he's done with following through on his plans and goals. Joseph's had experience working in private wealth management for more than a decade, but now he teaches regular people how to beat debt, make more money with side hustles, and start investing. So I thought having him break down his approach would be helpful today. In this episode, we're going to discuss creating goals that fit your season of life, avoiding the yo-yo diet cycle with your finances, and using money challenges to snatch those big wins. You'll also want to stay tuned until the end of the show because I'm going to share how you can catch my Pay Off Your Debt session for free. You ready? Let's get started. Time and again, at the beginning of the year, people make their goals for the year, and the reality is most people don't reach them. I've seen numbers as low as less than 10% of those goals are actually kept. I know a lot of times it starts at the beginning, which is the goals themselves, how people create them and make them. I hear SMART goals all the time. I've even talked about them. Do you think they make a real difference?
Well, I think it's a good place to start, that whole SMART analogy, but that's really just the process of putting your goals together. I mean, that's not going to help you actually stick with your goals and some of the other things that are going to factor into your success. While I love going through that list of the SMART and really creating those goals, there's some other things that are going to really hinge on how successful you are. One thing that I learned tragically on my own is it's not enough to create goals. You have to create realistic goals. Actually, my first professional job right out of college and after the Marine Corps, I hated my job, hated it with a passion. And so all I could think about was that early retirement. And that was my one main goal, was saving every penny I could. I worked, I had a real estate rental portfolio at the time, so I worked that. I also had a part-time job at times, and I was saving every penny for that one goal. And it just wasn't realistic. What would happen is I would get so burnt out on just working and saving and not enjoying my money or really my life. Then I was in the financial equivalent of yo-yo dieting, right? Every 6 months, I would just burn out and just spend half or more of what I had saved. So it was almost kind of like a 2 steps forward or 1 step back kind of idea. And I didn't even know what was happening. It actually took a friend kind of a financial buddy, so to speak, to really tell me, hey, what are you doing? I see you going through this cycle every 6 months or so, and this is what's happening. And I couldn't even see it. And so, I learned that it just can't be goals. They have to be realistic goals. What can you realistically do without burning out, without creating some of these other money problems?
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating because we've met a few times at conferences, and you strike me as someone who's very organized. And like the projects you had listed, I think you had a sheet, and I was like, this guy knows exactly what he wants to do. And I'm kind of curious, have you always been like that, or has it been a process?
I think it's been a development. I think certainly, I've always been kind of that type A person, that hard charging. I think the Marine Corps brought a lot of it out of me, a lot of that organization and that discipline. But even after that, like I said, I fell into a lot of these money problems that it's really hard to see ourselves committing, but other people, it's sometimes painfully obvious to our friends and the people around us. But no, I have always been a little organized and maybe a little anal in that respect.
I do appreciate that because sometimes, you talk to different people when they say SMART goal, they like the idea, but they change the realistic, and, they want to make someone have like this ambitious goal. But I think you're a good example that if you can be honest with yourself, like say if you're a major spender eating out, you shouldn't really look at, I eat out 500, 600 a month. Let's go cut it down to 0.
Exactly.
That's a lesson in frustration. So like, for example, if we took that example of someone who is a hardcore spender, where would you kind of have them start off with? Would it be really small, like maybe save 100, or would it be like just enough of a challenge where maybe they're saving 50?
Well, and you said the magic word right there, challenge. I think one of my favorite spending tools is a spending challenge. Is taking just one thing from your budget, and cutting it out, either cutting it out for a month, maybe 2 months, or just cutting it down dramatically. And that gets back to those SMART goals, that timing. It doesn't have to be forever. And I think, right around New Year's here, everybody's talking about their New Year's resolutions, and they're typically goals that are, okay, from now on, or, we're going to pay off all our debt. Well, but that's really hard to do. And it's really hard to keep to those New Year's resolutions. So I think if you make your goals a month, make them 2 months, or even 3 months at the longest, make them, I'd recommend more like 2 months, 2.5 months. Just make short-term goals, and so get on a spending challenge where you cut one thing out of your budget each month, or cut it down dramatically. First of all, you've got light at the end of the tunnel already. You're only doing it for 2.5 months, and you're gonna start seeing things that really don't make you any happier with all your spending. You're really not going to be happier going out to eat all the time, or some of the other frivolous things you spend on. So those spending challenges are just enough to help you cut your budget back, but it's not like going cold turkey on everything all at once. Plus, you go back, you work through your 2 months or your 3 months, and maybe you spend a little bit more on that. Maybe you don't challenge yourself quite as much on that one budget item, but that's coincidentally, that's just happens to be how long it takes to build good habits. It's usually 8 to 12 weeks, they say. So by taking the spending challenge, you've started creating those good habits that are going to carry through after that goal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm also a fan of monthly challenges because I feel the same way. I'm like, you can do anything for a month or two, and it allows you to kind of step outside your routine and see what works and what doesn't. And, you can do the challenge again. There's always like later on down the year, down the line, we'll do the challenge again or mix it up.
And understand that, spending challenges, they don't necessarily always have to be stop spending on one thing. It can be spending it maybe a little bit differently. Maybe instead of eating out, you start, you figure out ways to have, public picnics or some other ways to eat out or enjoy that family time without going to a traditional restaurant that's going to be $100 a pop.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. So I love that, this idea of monthly challenges. Are there any other resources people could use to maybe track their goals and their progress that you've seen that either worked for you or people in your community?
Sure. Well, I'm just an old school Excel spreadsheets kind of guy. I for my work as an equity analyst, and my life was creating spreadsheets. So that's always been something that I've used. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Basically, just taking note of your expenses each month, and going back 5 or 6 months, or tracking them for 5 or 6 months to make sure you get those irregular expenses. I think where a lot of people go wrong in budgeting and in saving and in some of these goals is they don't budget for those irregular expenses, those marriage, those weddings, those birthday parties, when the car breaks down. So these emergency or irregular expenses kind of sneak up on them, and they just destroy a budget. It's kind of disappointing when that happens. So a lot of people, they'll see this and they'll just kind of give up on their goals. They'll think, I tried, but life got in the way. Well, you kind of have to build life into your goals sometimes, and that helps a lot. So I'm a big time Excel guy, but I understand a lot of people like the apps and the tools that go around. I actually created a credit card interest calculator on my website that I love. It's actually kind of a wake up call for a lot of people, because it shows you put in how much you owe, the average rate on your credit card, and it's going to show you how much interest you pay a year, how long it's going to take to pay that debt off, which is really the rude awakening. I think a lot of people see is, if you're paying 2% or 3% a month on that credit card bill, or maybe the minimum payment, how long is it going to take? Is it going to take those 2 or 3 or 5 years to pay it off? And how much money are you really paying in interest? Another app I know a lot of people really like is mint.com. It's a free website. You have to be a Mint. You have to log in and create an account, but it's free to use. And that really helps you manage some of your debts and plan and budget. And I know Personal Capital is also a really popular one around the personal finance space with a lot of the bloggers.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've tried a lot of those apps and tools, and we too also love spreadsheets. That's our budget. We do Google Sheets, and my husband and I love to go back and forth. And I know a lot of couples, that's an additional challenge. Like when you're single, you have to create these goals. But once you create them, you follow through. But what if in a relationship, in a marriage, you guys have two seemingly conflicting goals? One of you wants to save. You feel like, okay, we need a financial cushion. The other one's like, no, the debt, the credit card debt is killing us. How do you find a compromise? I'm curious, like your takes and your ideas.
Sure. And my heart goes out to people that are in that situation, because it's tough. You have to find that middle ground and those shared goals. I like to, I think everybody, they need to start with not just their goals, but the reason for those goals. I think it's so much easier if you come together and you talk about the future and what you want to do and what your life is going to be like. Not necessarily just what you want to do, but what you're going to experience when you get there. So you make those that future real, and in doing that, you're going to make those goals real. And then it's, I don't want to say simple, but it's a simple process working to those goals.
Special thanks to Joseph for being a part of the show. If you're looking to boost your income, he has some fantastic resources, including his popular YouTube channel, Let's Talk Money. As always, I'll have links in the show notes so you can learn more and create a plan to knock out a goal you've been thinking about before this year wraps up. Speaking of hitting those money goals, next week we're going to be talking about a special event that I'm a part of to help you do just that, Mama's Talk Money Summit. For 5 whole days, the Mamas Talk Money Summit is going to have presentations from over 40 financially savvy mamas, and we're going to be talking about a lot of topics, including family finance, investing, retirement and estate planning, career and business, and teaching your kids about money. So whether you're trying to knock out that credit card debt, get some savings stashed away, or are looking to invest for long-term goals, this summit will have at least a few sessions that can help you make it happen. And along with each of the sessions, there's going to be a live Q&A. So for example, my session is dumping debt together when you can't agree on how. I'm going to be online in the chat. So as you're watching the sessions, you can ask me questions and get the answers right away. It's going to be all online, and you can register and watch the sessions for free. And this was important to me because I know we're all at different points in our financial journey. So having it be free to register was one of the reasons I wanted to join in. It's going to be happening later this month on October 21st through the 25th. Now, Chelsea is putting this together, and what I love about this is that she's also doing some fun giveaway and prizes along with the summit. There's going to be over $15,000 in giveaways with money tools, courses, swags, gifts for moms, just throughout the whole event. So not only can you catch the most useful sessions for you to knock out your big money goal, but you can also pick up some fantastic and helpful prizes. I hope you'll join me and the other mamas. So just make sure you grab your free ticket by going to the show notes here on Couple Money, or you can go right now to couplemoney.com/MTM. That's couplemoney.com/MTM. I hope to see you at the summit. I want you to wrap up this year with a big win. Have a wonderful week. Take care.